Good morning, everybody. Good morning. My name is Gerald Fernandez-Napoles, and I serve as president of Lone Star College North Harris. I'm very excited to have the opportunity to share this stage with such a wonderful organization and a great leader, and I will introduce him shortly. Thank you for being here. We are a college that is focused on economic development, academic and workforce quality, and partnerships. Today is a great opportunity to see all that. We're very proud of all the people that are here and all the people across the country who have the chance to see what's going on and hear what's going on about the state of manufacturing. So I serve as president of Lone Star College North Harris, and we have 6 colleges. We have over 100,000 students, credit and non-credit. And so we are so excited to make sure that we are celebrating and recognizing the wonderful success that we have. And so will all our students here today please stand up? As you can see, we have students representing HVAC, electrical, automotive, mechanical, welding, non-destructive testing, machining, a lot of the key skills and careers that we need. Thank you, students. You can have a seat. We're pretty big on economic development, and we partner with so many people. I want to take this opportunity to recognize a couple of people with us today. We have Mr. Reggie Gray, president of the Intercontinental Chamber of Commerce. Peter Beard, Senior Vice President of Regional Workforce Development, the Greater Houston Partnership. We also have a real strong connection to business and industry. And so we want to make sure our students know what's going on in the classrooms, in the labs, but prepare them at the same time for the workforce. So we have many volunteers who serve on our advisory boards. And we have one today with us, Mr. Ken Schreiber. Ken is the general manager of Rude in charge of the region for Century Air, so thank you very much. We also have Carolyn Lee, the executive director of the Manufacturing Institute Workforce Development and Education arm of NAM. I would also like the leadership team for Lone Star College, North Harris, and Lone Star College to please stand up. Let's give them a round of applause. Thank you. Today we'll also have the opportunity to provide a tour to show some of our wonderful exemplars of the collaboration and partnership, not only with education, but with business, and also showing a wonderful building that was created with feedback. At Lone Star College, we're nationally recognized, globally connected, and locally focused. And so that's why we're excited to have Mr. J. Timmons, President and CEO of the National Association of Manufacturers, with us. So today is an opportunity to hear what's going on in the nation, and also today is an opportunity to see what goes on daily to prepare our students for now and for the future. The National Association of Manufacturers is the unified voice of the more than 12.8 million men and women who make things in America. And the NAM's mission is empowering modern manufacturers across this country to create jobs, build communities, and strengthen the American economy. The NAM is here today in Houston as part of the NAM State of the Manufacturing Tour. They are traveling the country to spotlight the opportunities in the industry and the need to inspire a new generation of creators and innovators. We are pleased to welcome today NAM's President and CEO, Jay Timmons. Let's give him a round of applause. Under Jay's leadership, the NAM has established relationships of trust and respect across the political spectrum and has built an unprecedented media platform for the manufacturing story in America. Jay also serves as the chair of the Manufacturing Institute, the NAM's workforce and education partner. Growing up in the manufacturing town of Chillicothe, Ohio, Jay understands what this industry means to America. And as new technology brings manufacturing to the next frontier, Jay and the NAM are here to chart the path forward. So to probably one of the biggest Buckeye alumni and fan, let's give a warm Houston, Texas applause for Mr. Jay Timmons.
For we meet in an hour of change and challenge, in a decade of hope and fear. No man can fully grasp how far and how fast we have come. So it is not surprising that some would have us stay where we are a little longer. If this teaches us anything, it is that man in his quest for knowledge and progress is determined and cannot be deterred as we set sail for the greatest and most complex exploration in man's history.
The focus is inspiring the next generation of the manufacturing workforce.
Ultimately, the goal of manufacturing in America is to improve the human condition, and we need everybody to be focused on the success of manufacturers in America.
The future of the industry, and indeed the future of America, depend on it.
Well, thank you all so much for that very warm welcome, and thank you to Dr. Napoles, and bravo on being able to pronounce Chillicothe. You're the first person who's introduced me who's done that correctly. Thank you so much. I want to thank Lone Star College for welcoming the NAM State of Manufacturing Tour to Houston, Texas. I want to also thank our partners at the Texas Association of Business, as well as our friends at the Texas Association of Manufacturers and the Greater Houston Partnership. It's great to see so many NAM members represented here today, and I want to call out Glenn Johnson from BASF, who's been a great advocate for strengthening the manufacturing workforce. Thank you, Glenn, for being here. Now, you know, as Houstonians, you probably know that this July will mark the 50th anniversary of the moon landing. In fact, the President mentioned that in his State of the Union address just 2 weeks ago. This anniversary, it's going to be a moment of pride for everyone in this great city, but it's also going to be a moment of pride for America's manufacturers, who have always played a defining role in building the technology that makes achievements like that possible. The Saturn V rocket, which launched Apollo 11 into space, was a team effort of more than a dozen manufacturers. Each of them constructed different components that combined to create this 363-foot, 6.2 million pound miracle, the rocket that took Americans into the heavens. It was a true feat of manufacturing. Today, modern manufacturers continue to launch America into the future to conquer that next frontier, whether it's the latest aerospace technology or the newest innovations for energy production, for sustainability, for medicine, smart devices, nutrition, and so much more. In Texas, so many types of manufacturing are thriving. Last year, in fact, the top manufacturing sectors for job openings in Texas were computer and electronics, transportation equipment, chemicals, machinery, and food. In Houston, you're leaders in the energy sector that has powered tremendous economic growth and made America the leader in energy exploration technology. And at the same time, the presence of the Johnson Space Center and iconic manufacturers like Boeing means that you're closely tied to aerospace manufacturing. Yesterday, we were in Colorado. Tomorrow, we'll be in Iowa. And we're going to keep traveling the country this week and next, talking with some of the more than 12.8 million men and women who make things in America. And we'll be talking with students, like the students who are gathered here today, who I hope will be future manufacturing leaders. There's never been a better time to join our industry. And in case you can't tell, this is a recruiting pitch. We need you. We're coming off a great year. In 2018, manufacturers added an average of 22,000 jobs each and every month. That's the best record in more than 2 decades. Last year, when we surveyed manufacturers who belong to the NAM, they said that they were more optimistic than in any time in the 20-year history of our survey. So I'm going to ask all of you, I want to see a show of hands, if you would, please. Who plans to go into modern manufacturing? okay, I see a smattering. We're going to get that number up. I kind of expected that, to be honest. But I want to follow up with this. When you hear the word manufacturing, what usually comes to mind? So I'm asking you, tell me. Shout it out. What was that? Production. Assembly plants. Fabrication. I like that one. Food products. I really like that one. Beverages too. We went to Anheuser-Busch yesterday. What was it? Robotics. That's interesting. One more. Quality control. I didn't hear people. We've got a range of ages in the audience today, but I really feel lucky. I really feel lucky when I get a chance to talk with young students because I always ask them what they think about our industry. What are their preconceived notions? Sometimes they don't realize what today's manufacturing jobs really are all about. They're engineers, they're coders, they're robotics operators, they're welders, they're technicians and designers and marketers. Today's manufacturers are truly building the future. So what does this all mean? It means that all the noise and rumors you hear about robots taking jobs and manufacturing being a thing of the past, well, that is not the real story. The real story is that manufacturing is an engine of job creation. It is the source of America's strength. So what is the state of modern manufacturing in America? Well, today, ladies and gentlemen, manufacturing in America is on the rise. And let me tell you, it's rising fast. Tax reform was the rocket fuel that it was promised to be. And it's helping us to climb higher and faster than almost anybody thought possible in this century as we keep our promise to invest in our people and in our communities. Sure, we've got our challenges. There's no question about that. And that's what we're going to talk about today. And the first one has everything to do with the people in this room. Manufacturers need people. As I've already told you, we need you. Right now, manufacturers have, now get this, manufacturers have 428,000 job openings today in America. 428,000. And if you think that's a lot, listen to this. We're going to need to fill about 4.6 million jobs over the next 10 years. Now that's all from a study from the consulting firm Deloitte and the NAM's workforce and education partner, the Manufacturing Institute. They also found that 2.6 million of those jobs won't get filled if we don't recruit the right people to join manufacturing. People like you, starting your career or looking to change your career. And you want to know what's one of the best kept secrets? Well, these jobs, they pay really, really good money. On average, America's manufacturing workers make about $85,000 annually in wages and benefits. That's just the average. There are so many jobs that pay so much more. Now that's about $32,000 more than any jobs in other fields. These opportunities begin at places like Lone Star College, whether it's a certification, a training program, an associate's degree, or the foundation for a bachelor's. And Lone Star College, you got a really impressive place here with 100,000 students. That's incredible. I was mentioning that I came from Ohio State. I was pretty proud of the fact we had 66,000 students. You guys wiped us out. You also have students that are veterans. There's about 4,400 veterans and family members here. So if we could, I'd like to just take a moment and ask any veterans in the room to either stand or identify yourselves. Could you do that for us, please? All right. I know I say this for everyone, and I know you hear it a lot, but we mean it. Thank you for your service. Now, later today, I'm really excited. Soldiers who are part of the Manufacturing Institute's Heroes Make America program at Fort Hood, they're going to be joining us on the tour. And a person that has made the Heroes program possible has already been introduced. That's Carolyn Lee. She's the executive director of the Manufacturing Institute. Carolyn, thank you so much for your leadership. That program is absolutely awesome. These soldiers are training for jobs in manufacturing as they transition out of the military. And on our tour today, we'll get a firsthand look at the opportunities that await them. Carolyn and the Heroes Group will tour BP, Microsoft, and Bimbo Bakeries here in Houston. And American Bakers Association President and CEO Rob Mackey will join them for that stop. Today, people in manufacturing are using technologies that most Americans, well, they wouldn't even imagined it a few years ago. Think about artificial intelligence, augmented reality. These were the things we thought of science fiction, but they are today's reality. We don't have robots, we have cobots, machines that work in tandem with you. And you have manufacturers trying to figure out how quantum computing could revolutionize logistics. We'll see firsthand the future of artificial intelligence at the Microsoft Technology Center, where they're using cloud technology to help manufacturers be safer and to better serve their customers. And I want to give a big thanks to David Brea, the U.S. manufacturing lead at Microsoft. We're looking forward to continuing our partnership with that great American company. What's so promising is that all of this technology, it allows people to actually do more. It also means that people who are differently abled, who may have thought there wasn't a place for them in manufacturing, well, they will know that they have a home with us as well. And anytime we can include more people in manufacturing, it's a win for our industry, a win for our economy, and a win for our country. So this really is the next frontier in manufacturing. We're always moving forward. We're always improving, and not just on how we make things, but also in what we make. For example, pharmaceutical manufacturers, they're investing billions of dollars to develop cutting-edge treatments for cancer. That's manufacturing that is making us healthier. Automakers across America are expanding autonomous vehicle technology, which over time will reduce risks on the highway and make trucking more efficient. That is manufacturing that is making us safer. Protolabs, which we'll visit in Minnesota and North Carolina, it's the world's fastest on-demand custom manufacturer. Among other technologies, they use industrial-grade 3D printing. That is manufacturing that makes us efficient. Anheuser-Busch, which I mentioned we visited yesterday in Fort Collins, Colorado, has vowed by 2025 to purchase 100% of its electricity from renewable sources. They want to reduce their CO2 emissions by 25%, improve water efficiency at all their facilities, and make 100% of their packaging majority recycled content or sustainable, or returnable, pardon me. That's manufacturing that is making us sustainable. And by the way, since it's beer, it makes us a little happier too. Yesterday, we were also at Ball Aerospace in Colorado. Ball recently built a next-generation weather satellite for NOAA and NASA that increases the timeliness and accuracy of forecasts, providing earlier warnings ahead of severe weather events, something you're certainly familiar with here in the Houston area. It will provide earlier warnings, and in addition, they also recently finished building a space-based instrument for NASA to track pollution and improve air quality. That's manufacturing that is making us greener. And it's proving once again that manufacturers in America are part of the solution for nearly all of our most pressing global challenges. Now, later this year, when we mark that anniversary of the lunar landing, we're going to be looking to the future, to the next frontier, going back to the moon, onward to Mars, or even beyond. And make no mistake about it, it is manufacturing that will create that future and move us forward every step of the way. Every small step for man, every giant leap for mankind. But America's future is only as bright as our manufacturing industry is strong. America's security and standing as a beacon of hope in the world depend on manufacturing strength. Just last month, China landed a spacecraft on the dark side of the moon. That is a big milestone. But are we going to let China lead in space? Or is the United States going to continue to lead? Is China or any other country going to become the leader in the global economy? Or is the United States, our exceptional nation, going to continue to lead? I don't know about you, but I think America must lead. That's how we're going to uphold the values that we cherish and that made America exceptional in the first place. Free enterprise, competitiveness, individual liberty, and equal opportunity. So we've talked about why manufacturing matters for students and for job seekers. Now I want you to think about why manufacturing matters to you as an American, as a citizen or a resident of the United States. The decisions that are made in Washington, D.C. affect the strength of this industry, and you affect what happens in Washington and also in Austin with your voice and your votes. There are a lot of big issues that matter to manufacturers, and I'm going to focus on just 3 of them. None of this, by the way, is about Republicans or Democrats or independents. It's not about politics or personality or process. It's about policy. It's about good policy, the right policy that will make a difference in the lives of Americans. You've probably heard the President and Speaker Pelosi talk about investing in infrastructure. Well, manufacturers want that too, and all Americans deserve better roads and bridges. We need modernized ports and waterways, pipes, pipelines, electric grid, and airports, as well as the next generation communications infrastructure like 5G technology. As manufacturers, we can't get our products to customers quickly and cheaply if we don't have better infrastructure. And more importantly, this is also about you and your family's safety. So manufacturers are calling on Congress to make a serious investment in our nation's infrastructure. Without action, we're going to lose 5.8 million jobs by the year 2040. But with an injection of $1 trillion over time in American infrastructure, we will create 11 million jobs. Manufacturers' competitiveness, it depends on infrastructure, but it also depends on trade. Now, I'm sure you've heard a lot of talk about tariffs and China and NAFTA and the new US-Mexico-Canada agreement. And frankly, maybe you wanted to tune it out, but please don't do that. Here's why it matters. There are 7.7 billion people 7.7 billion people in the world today. 95% of the people in the world live outside of the United States. If our economy is going to succeed, if we're going to stay on top, we have to sell the things Americans make to those people before somebody else does. And believe me, everybody else wants to. We need to partner with those countries to create new innovations, whether with those people, to create new innovations, whether they live in Canada or the EU or China or India. Being part of a strong world economy, well, it raises standards of living here at home, but it also reduces poverty around the globe, and that is a good thing. So number 1, manufacturers are counting on Congress to ratify the US-Mexico-Canada agreement and do so quickly. These 2 countries are our most important trading partners. Second, we want to see the administration come to an agreement to hold China accountable. Look, China cheats, just plain and simple. And it hurts us here in America. And the tariffs on their products and on ours, well, they hurt manufacturers too. China is the most challenging market in the world, but it also has tremendous opportunities. So a trade agreement between our 2 countries would not only fix those problems and set new rules of the game, It would also be historic. We want it done, and that's why we, more than a year ago, called on the president to negotiate such agreement. You should want that done too. We also want to see lawmakers reach another historic agreement to fix our broken immigration system once and for all. The broken system, it's not fair. Not to the dreamers who know no other home besides the United States of America. Not to Americans who want to know that their country is secure. And let me just say this. If you're a dreamer, or your friend or your family member is a dreamer, manufacturers stand with you. We believe in you. We need to reach a solution so that you can have the confidence that you deserve to build your future. But we also need to be realistic. We need security as well. A nation has to protect its borders. It's really a basic necessity. Manufacturers understand that a truly comprehensive solution has to show compassion, provide security, and address economic realities. Last week, the NAM released just such a plan. We sent it to Congress and we sent it to the White House. This plan, which we call A Way Forward, is pragmatic and it is realistic. It bolsters security. It provides a path and certainty for undocumented workers. It improves our asylum and refugee systems. It responds to employers' priorities and needs, and it strengthens the rule of law. It's not all Republican ideas. It's not all Democratic ideas. It's a realistic compromise. That's what it's going to take, and that's what Americans expect. Congress says they want to solve the problem. Well, manufacturers are showing them how to do it. Sure, manufacturers build walls, but we also build bridges. And we want to build consensus on an issue that has sorely divided our country. Here's the bottom line. It's time to stop playing politics with people's lives. We believe we've had enough debating and it's time for action. Finally, there's one more threat to our future that impacts all Americans, but it hits Houstonians in particular. Right now, there are groups of trial lawyers slinking around the country, tantalizing elected officials in cities and states with unrealistic promises of jackpot justice if they will only agree to sue energy manufacturers over climate change. This is Houston, home to energy companies, so this matters. This matters to all of you. These lawyers, they want to get rich at the expense of manufacturing workers. They want to get rich at your expense. The good news is courts have ruled repeatedly against these frivolous and baseless lawsuits. But if they were ever to succeed just once, because one activist judge decided to make a statement instead of applying the law, the greedy lawyers will get their payday, the publicity-seeking politicians will get some headlines, and the rest of us will still be left to deal with climate change. At the NAM, through our Manufacturers Accountability Project, we're exposing these schemes and making sure our leaders stand up against this threat so that manufacturers can continue to lead. But because we don't need politicians. We don't need politicians or attorneys to know that this earth is the only home that we have, and we want to leave it better than we found it. I want to be clear on this. Manufacturers know that climate change is a very real problem. We all face it. And manufacturers are developing the technologies that will make our environment healthier. So whether it's immigration, trade, infrastructure, or a host of other issues, I implore you, stay involved, stay engaged. It takes all of us to advance manufacturing in America. It takes all of us to make sure that our beloved country remains exceptional. We've made too much progress and we're doing too much good to let anything stand in our way. It's really all about your future. That's why you're here in the first place. You're here because you want to make your future as bright as possible. Because you believe in putting in the work to be the best version of yourself that you can be. That's why you're the kind of people that we want in manufacturing. You see, I'm recruiting again. And while we can never be certain about what the next few years will bring, I know this: manufacturing will always be the backbone of the American economy.